Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Credabl Difference, where we make finance simple for doctors, dentists and vets. I'm Ali, a finance consultant from the team based in WA. I have seen firsthand with my clients that every big idea starts with a dream. At Credabl, we bring the financial know-how to turn your plans into progress, meaning if you aspire to own your own practice premises, we are here to help. Buying your own property can be a game changer. Firstly, you become your own landlord, which means you're no longer at the mercy of rent hikes, lease negotiations, or relocation pressures. It gives you long-term security and stability, which is especially important when you're building patient trust and planning for the future. Another reason ownership makes sense is that you're going to invest significant money into fitting out your practice. Everything from cabinetry and medical grade flooring to signage. So why put all that investment into someone else's asset when you could be adding value to your own property? Now, one of the most common questions we get is, what is my borrowing capacity? The answer depends on a few factors: your personal asset and liability profile, your existing income, and then other factors like, is it a new business? Or do you already own the business and are now relocating or expanding? Which means we can also look at cash flow projections to help support your finance request. The good news is that Credabl can offer loans for up to 100% of the purchase price, depending on your situation. Or you could consider buying through a self-managed super fund, where we can also help you borrow up to 90% of the purchase price. It's important to speak to your accountant about which entity should own the property. Often the property is purchased in a separate entity to the one that owns your practice. This allows your practice to lease the property from that entity, which can be beneficial from a tax and asset protection perspective. Another important factor is GST. If the property is being sold as an ongoing concern, meaning it has a tenant and lease in place, GST is not payable. However, if the property is vacant at settlement, GST will apply. In that case, we can arrange a short-term GST loan, which you can then repay once you receive the GST refund from the ATO. We'll always arrange for an independent valuation to ensure you're not overpaying for the property. Because of this, we suggest including a finance clause of at least 21 days in your contract. This gives us time to secure a loan approval and complete the valuation, which can take up to a couple of weeks. We also recommend at least 21 days for settlement after finance approval. Some other important considerations are making sure the property has the correct council zoning for your practice. If not, include a clause in the contract for change of use. Don't forget about stamp duty, which is payable on commercial properties. If you need help funding it, we can assist, typically via a business overdraft or a short-term facility. And before you buy, it's worth engaging a specialist fit-out company to assess the property. They can flag any expensive surprises like asbestos, structural walls that can't be removed, or outdated electrics, so it can bring your budget in accurately. Buying your own practice premises is a big step, and with the right guidance and finance structure, it can be one of the most rewarding investments you can make, both professionally and financially. I'm Ali, and this has been another episode of the Credabl Difference. If you're ready to take the next step towards owning your own practice property, talk to us and experience the Credabl difference for yourself.